Reddit story, my wife abused me in front of the kids and blow up everything because I don't want another child. Yesterday was not a very good day for me. I talked about this here a while ago, but now things have gotten really serious, and I think I'm ready to say something important. My wife really wants a fourth child, but I'm not so sure about it. I told her I would wait on getting a vasectomy to see if I changed my mind. I know having another child means everything to her, so I'm trying my best to feel the same way. It's been a year and a half, but my feelings haven't changed much. I feel really bad about it because I know it's been really hard for her. She has anxiety, and her tough childhood still affects her today. On Sunday, my wife stayed in our room all day because she was upset with me for taking so long to decide about having another child. I told her it didn't feel good that she left me to take care of the kids, dogs, and all the cleaning and cooking while she stayed upset. She said she has anxiety, so doing normal things during the day is really hard for her when she feels like this. I'm not sure if that's fair, though. Later, she said she was going to run away because she felt crazy and didn't know what to do. She started pulling clothes out of the drawers, but ended up folding them again. She also said that if I don't agree to have another child, she's going to make my life really difficult by yelling at me in front of the kids and keeping me up all night. She didn't actually do those things, though. I think she makes empty threats because of her emotional struggles. She had a fit later in the day, stomping her feet, yelling, and shaking, saying, "I'm not waiting any longer than today. It's going to be a yes," about having another child. We did talk calmly about how much it meant to her, but I've been wondering if I'm thinking too much about numbers and statistics. Maybe I should go for it because I really love my 3 kids. But I just feel like I can't agree in these circumstances. I almost gave in but decided to wait. Today, I feel like telling her she needs to go to couples therapy or there won't be any more children. She doesn't think a therapist will help, so she refuses. She says I don't love her enough or else I would see her suffering and give in. I don't know if she's right, and it makes me feel bad. I also told her it's not right to say she'll make my life hell. I want her to change, and I don't want to be yelled at anymore. I put a lot into this marriage, and I think it could work, but her outbursts make me feel unsafe. I want to make the best decision for my kids, and I want her to feel better, but I don't think it's possible to have another child under these circumstances. She says when I bring up her behavior as a reason I don't want another child, she feels beaten down and has no self-respect. She even wonders if she's being emotionally abused by me. Is it right to give her an ultimatum on therapy? I really believe a therapist won't change her intense need for another child, so is it even worth it? I feel like we could make things work with a 4th child and save my other children from the trauma of divorce, but not under these circumstances of threats, silent treatment, and yelling. She promised to go to couples therapy every month if we have another child now. She has some bad behaviors, but most of the time, she's really nice, and we have fun together. That's like 95% of our time, and the other 5% is like a different person. I want to do this for her and our family, but not under these conditions. What would you do? She's been seeing a therapist every 2 weeks for almost a decade, but I'm not sure it's helping. I suggested a psychologist, but she refused, saying I'm being controlling, so I dropped it. Also, she's Mormon, and we live in Utah, where there's a lot of pressure to have lots of kids. I think my next steps are telling her she needs to get better before we even talk about having another child. If she makes life difficult for me and the kids like she threatened, I'll get a vasectomy immediately. Does this seem fair? Update 1 day later. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. Hey everyone, I want to start by saying a big thank you to everyone who commented on my other post. I really appreciate it, and it gave me the support I needed to stay strong. I read all your comments, but I don't have time to reply to each one. Last night, before bedtime, I talked to my wife about what happened on Sunday. I asked her if she had said sorry to the kids for yelling at them and told them it was wrong. She said she did a bit, but planned to talk to them more today. Then, I told her that I love her and want us to have a happy, healthy marriage as we grow old together. I mentioned that some of her behavior scared me and suggested she might have something deeper going on. I asked if she'd consider calling her doctor for tests on postpartum or hormone levels. But she turned away and said no, she's not willing to do that. I brought up how she'd been going to her therapist for 7 to 8 years, twice a month, and still felt unhappy most days. I suggested meeting someone else with different tools to help her, but she said no, and I was invading her privacy. I told her I don't want to control her, but I won't have another child until she gets well. I mentioned the screaming, stomping, and threats from yesterday. She didn't acknowledge it but said, "We're done, this is broken. We can raise the kids together, but we're done. We keep hurting each other, and we don't understand each other. I suggested couples therapy to communicate better, but she refused. She said we're just done. This morning, she avoided me and gave short answers. I don't want a loveless marriage, and I know it's not good for the kids. I'll wait and see if things change in a week or two, but I won't budge on having a kid in these circumstances. About the therapists, I'm seeing 2 individual therapists, and they haven't mentioned abusive behavior. One responded saying the threats are negative, and the tantrums aren't a sign of good mental health. I'll keep seeing them and get their advice. My wife grew up with a toxic mom who yelled a lot, and she still acts like a child. She's tried to stop that behavior, but struggles. I need to figure out what to do with the kids. We can't keep fighting in front of them. They're pretty safe for now, but I need to make sure things are okay. I've wondered if my wife has BPD, and I've tried to get her to a psychologist or psychiatrist, but no luck. I didn't give ultimatums about therapy or a vasectomy for now. I'll take a kind but firm stance for a couple of weeks and shut down any manipulation or abuse attempts as they come. Update 2, 1 week later. Thanks a lot for sharing this info. I talked to her last night, but she really doesn't want to talk to anyone. She thinks talking to someone won't help her because they'll just try to make her move on from wanting another child. She believes only having another child will help her, and she doesn't see how anyone else can help with that. It's like she's stuck on this idea, and it's kind of obsessive. She's not interested in fixing her feelings towards me either, she just feels like no one can help her with that. It's tough, it seems like a mental illness. I'm not sure if it's BPD, ADHD, or something else. No one can convince her, not even friends or family. I told her to try for herself and for the kids, but she just stared at me blankly. I'll check out ADHD myself to understand it better. I don't know what to do right now, but I'm gonna wait a week or 2 to see if she calms down and starts thinking straight. I'm not sure if she will. In her mind, the only problem is not having the child she thinks she needs. If no one can help her with that, she doesn't see the point of talking to them. Our relationship? For her, if we don't have another child, there's no relationship. It feels so hard, I don't know if there's anything worth saving. Thanks for all your thoughts. Unfortunately, any suggestion I give makes her mad. Stop trying to make me feel better. I don't need that, she says. I don't know if she's really thought it through yet. She sees it as both our decision to separate, not just hers. I mentioned I won't be a roommate earlier this year, but I didn't bring it up again. I want to ask my therapist on Tuesday for advice. She might need a wake-up call, but I don't know how to do it best. Maybe giving her a few more days to cool off will help. I wonder if she's saying this to manipulate me. I don't get why she thinks it'll make me agree since I've told her many times that when she yells and threatens, I'm farther from wanting another kid. I made it clear that I won't have a kid in these conditions, and she seemed to understand, but maybe her body is still in autopilot manipulation mode. No, she won't leave the other 3, we might end up sharing custody. I met with a lawyer last year, and that's what they said. It's hard to say if she'll ever face reality, because her reality is different. She thinks I'm not trying to fix it by having another child as much as she's not trying to fix it. She believes therapy won't help because the therapist won't tell me to have another child with her, so she thinks there's no point. I know I can't force her to get help or face reality. My goal with my therapist is no longer about saving the marriage, but about giving my kids the least trauma. It's sad, but by the time she understands what might happen, it might be too late. I love her, and I'll miss her, but I can't make her get healthy or love me the way I want. I've only got one life. Sorry for the random thoughts. I appreciate your comments, and I'll go through them again if reality starts hitting my wife. Reddit story, my sister claims she caught my girlfriend cheating with a friend of mine, but they both say she's lying. Me and my girlfriend have been together for more than 3 years, and everything was good until about 6 months ago. We stopped having as much fun together, and I know it was mostly because of me. Work got super stressful, and I had some family problems to deal with, and it affected our relationship. We talked about it, and I promised to try harder for us. I do think things have gotten a bit better, but there's still room for us to get even better. I really, really love this girl, and I don't want to lose her. Last night, she told me she was going to the club with some friends after work. I didn't think much about it because they do this sometimes. But then, around 11 p.m., my sister sent me texts saying she saw my girlfriend and my friend making out at the club. I didn't believe her at first, but she said when she went to get her phone for proof, they had stopped, but they were still dancing really close, and she got a couple of pictures. It made me feel weird. I asked if they left together, but she didn't know. Here's the tricky part: about 4 years ago, my sister told me she liked my friend. She told him, and he said no really strongly. He said she's not his type, and she's too young. According to him, she kept trying, and he ended up being kinda mean about it. It hurt her a lot, and even now, she won't talk to him. It took her a whole year before she could even be in the same room as him. As far as I know, my sister and my girlfriend have an okay relationship. They're not really friends, but they're friendly. This morning, I sent the pictures to my girlfriend and my friend and asked what was going on. They both said they were just dancing. I told them they looked too close, and it was not okay. She said I'm being paranoid. I told them what my sister said she saw, and after arguing, my girlfriend said I have to believe either her or my sister. I said I don't know what to believe, and I need time to think, and she said whatever. I messaged my friend by myself and asked him to explain everything. I kinda begged him, but he hasn't messaged me back. Not answering feels like he might be guilty. I don't think my sister would lie about this, but a part of me wonders if she saw a chance to hurt my friend for hurting her before. Or maybe I'm just being too hopeful. I'm not sure what advice I'm looking for, I just don't know how to go forward. Update, 3 days later. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. So, I wanted to give you an update on what happened. They never texted me back at all. I probably wouldn't have heard from them if I hadn't told them I just wanted the truth. They agreed to come over on Monday night and explain everything. Basically, they did go back to his place and had sex, but they say it was the first time. About 4 months ago, they ran into each other after me and my girlfriend had a really bad fight that I don't remember. He noticed she was upset, so he took her out for lunch, and they talked about our relationship and me. They exchanged numbers, and she texted him about 2 weeks later after I went fishing with some friends for the weekend. They've been texting every day and hanging out 2 to 3 times a week. My girlfriend went into a lot of detail about how I pushed her away in the last 6 months. I thought things got better after we talked about everything, but she says it got better for about 2 or 3 weeks and then went back to how it was. I asked why she didn't bring it up again, and she claims she did. I told her she should have just broken up with me instead of cheating. She agrees she messed up, but says I share blame too. I asked if it was just sex between them, and they both said no. I also asked why they didn't tell me the truth when I confronted them with the pictures, and they said they panicked. I asked him if he had anything to add, and he said he's sorry it happened the way it did, but he's not sorry that it happened. I told them to get out. I don't really know how I'm feeling right now. I hated them when they walked in and when they left, but now I don't know. Last night, I tried to remove her from social media, and she had a picture on her Instagram with both of them. People in the comments were asking what happened to me, some were congratulating them, and others said they looked cute together. That didn't feel great. I also said sorry to my sister for throwing her under the bus. I didn't realize I did that until some people commented on it. She said she doesn't care if it meant finding out the truth and getting them out of my life. I think I'm gonna stay single for a while. Some people suggested therapy, maybe that's something to explore down the line. Anyway, that's it. Reddit story: how can I find peace in my twin sister's death when I'm forced to live with my stepmom who caused it? For some background, my dad cheated on my mom with my stepmom. They ultimately got divorced, which was really hard on our family. My mom ended up moving back to her home country in Europe. My twin sister and I had to stay with our dad. I, 17F, live with my dad, my stepmom and my younger brothers. Last year in September, my twin sister and I had a volleyball game at school. My dad was usually the one who picked us up from our games and practices, but he couldn't that night. My dad was out of town, so our stepmom had to come pick us up. She arrived an hour late because she took a nap and forgot about us. As soon as we got in the car, she started going on a rant about how we disturbed her nap. Long story short, she ran a stop sign at an intersection. We got into a horrible accident. Most of that night was a blur, but I remember the last few minutes before the crash. I was hospitalized for weeks, but my twin sister passed away that night. I can't describe how I feel. I lost my best friend who I shared everything with. My sister knew exactly how I felt about everything because we experienced life together. Now, I constantly feel like I'm a zombie. I'm not suicidal, but I often imagine/think about ending my own life because living is unbearable without my sister. Well, last night, my stepmom made a special dinner for her birthday. After the accident, I stopped eating dinner with the rest of my family. It just feels wrong eating without my sister at the table, so I eat alone in my room. Well, my dad insisted I eat with them downstairs. I protested, but he begged me. Dinner started off normally. My stepmom announced to my brothers, 8M, 5M, and I that she was pregnant. My brothers were really happy and asked for the gender of the baby. My stepmom excitedly said that it was a girl. My brothers kept talking about they were excited about getting a younger sister. My stepmom mentioned how they could help decorate her nursery. I looked up and asked her which room would be the nursery. She excitedly said that she was going to use my twin sister's room. She mentioned how she already started removing things from her room in the morning and putting them in the attic. I asked her why she didn't bother telling me before she went ahead and started moving my sister's stuff. It was a big deal to me because aside from me, no one has been in her room since she's passed. Sometimes when I miss her, I sit in her room to feel closer to her. And some nights, I fall asleep in her room. My stepmom got really defensive. She said that I needed to accept that she was having a baby and needed the empty room. I told her that I understood that she was pregnant, but a heads up would have been nice before she started removing things from my sister's room. She looked at me and said that she didn't need to tell me anything because she was the mother of the household. She said she was doing what was best for the interest of her baby and she didn't need my negativity. I stayed silent trying to tune her out, but I snapped when she mentioned how I needed to accept my sister's death and move on. She said something along the lines of, "Your twin passed away and you need to accept that. It's hard, but you've got your father, your brothers, and I, plus, you're getting a new sister who you can build an even stronger relationship with. You need to move on, because nothing will bring twin sister back." I knew I was getting angry, so I excused myself and left the table. My dad started yelling about how I was being dramatic and I needed to come back or I'd be grounded. I continued walking away until my stepmom said, "I don't understand what her problem is." She couldn't even bother to be happy about my pregnancy, but she's angry about me moving things out of an unoccupied bedroom. I turned around and stared at her in disbelief. My stepmom often acts like twin sister never existed. An example, 2 months ago, I was at Walmart with my dad and stepmom. We were buying a birthday present for my younger brother and they got into a conversation with the older man. I wasn't paying much attention, but the old man asked my dad how many kids he had. My dad said he had 4 kids, but my stepmom responded saying, "Number 3. She does stuff like that all the time, which drives me insane. I started going off on her, and she sat there quietly. I mentioned how she's been the cause of every major traumatic event in my life. I reminded her that she knowingly started sleeping with a married man. She knew he had a wife and kids, but she didn't care. She broke up my family, sending my mom into a deep depression, which ultimately led her to move away. Then I reminded her that she was too preoccupied with ranting about how we disturbed her nap, which ultimately led to a car accident that had me hospitalized for weeks. And I lost my twin sister because of her carelessness. I told her that she had no right to just take things out of my sister's room. And I wasn't angry about her new baby, but the fact that she started boxing and removing stuff from my sister's room without even telling me in advance. Then finally, I told her that it was cruel of her to tell me to move on from the traumatic death of my twin sister. She argued back that the accident happened and I was living in the past. She said everything happens for a reason and God works in mysterious ways. I straight up asked her if she thought that my sister's death could not have been avoided. And she responded saying it was just unlucky fate. I reminded her that my sister would be alive if she wasn't distracted. My stepmom then told me that I make her feel like I wanted her to die instead. I just stayed silent and she kept asking me if she was correct. I turned to walk away and my stepmom grabbed my arm. I asked her to let go and she kept saying, "You want me dead, don't you?" I stayed silent again, but she kept repeating it. I eventually got mad and truthfully told her that my life would have been easier that way. She started crying and my dad called me heartless. I did apologize a few minutes later, but my dad snapped and asked me leave my stepmom alone. Since then, my dad has been giving me the silent treatment while my stepmom just avoids me. Ada, update 1 week later. Subscribe for more Reddit stories. Hey everyone, I'm really sorry it took me so long to write back, but a lot of stuff happened in the last few months. First of all, thank you all so much for being so nice to me. I couldn't read most of the messages after I posted last time because I went to sleep right after. When I woke up, there were lots of TikTok videos about what happened. I didn't know about any of that, but my stepmom's younger sister saw one of the Reddit videos and sent it to their family chat. My stepmom saw it and got really mad when she read the comments. She took away my phone, laptop, and grounded me right away. When my dad came home from work, he agreed with her. The whole family was angry, and my dad got yelled at by her parents. They wanted me to take the post down, but I didn't give them my phone password, so they couldn't do much about it. I wasn't allowed to leave my room, use my phone, or talk to my mom. They said I could get those things back when they thought I learned my lesson. A week later, my stepmom lost her baby, and she blamed me for it. She said I caused too much stress to the family. She kept yelling at me, saying I did this to her. She even tried to turn my brothers against me, and it worked with the older one. My dad wanted me to apologize, but I didn't even know what for. My stepmom's pregnancies were already risky because of other problems, and she had lost 3 babies before. I didn't know much about her health, but I overheard her talking about some issues on the phone. After all this, I felt really bad inside. For days later, I tried to hurt myself. My dad and stepmom went out with my brothers, and I took too much medicine. It hurt a lot, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was throwing up and in pain. I can't remember everything, but my little brother found me, and my dad called 911. I was in the ER, and later, they sent me to a hospital with a psychiatrist for over a week. I got in trouble for trying to hurt myself. My dad didn't talk to me for a week. While I was away, he read my journals and found out I hurt myself. He made me read it all to him, my stepmom, and our pastor. The pastor talked to me about letting go of anger and the past. They took away my door and said I couldn't stay in my room much. My stepmom said she didn't want me there anymore, and my dad wanted to send me away to a camp for troubled kids. I didn't have my electronics, and they watched me all the time. I felt really stuck, so, one night, I took my stepmom's iPad and called my best friend. I explained everything, and her parents helped me. For 2 nights, my friend came at 3 a.m. to get my stuff. On the 3rd night, I found where my dad kept my phone and laptop, so I took them back. I left with my friend that night. I can't say much about what happened that night, but my dad tried to press charges on people, and it didn't work. He gave up because my stepmom was happy with me gone. It's been 3 months since I left, and I'm safe. I haven't heard from my dad or stepmom in weeks. I'm staying with my mom's cousin now, but I plan to move to Europe after high school. I turned 18 today, and I'm glad I don't have to see my dad legally anymore. And thank you to everyone who messaged me or gave me advice. Sorry if there are any mistakes, this made me feel a lot of bad things.